Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Catherine Dow. Mara Lee is away. We're learning more tonight about one of the pilots who died when two planes collided Tuesday south of Steinbach. The mid-air crash happened just shy of a runway near a flight training school where the pilots were learning to fly. The Consulate General of India in Toronto says Srihaри Sukesh was one of them. CTV's Jeff Keel joins us now live. So Jeff, what is the Consulate General saying?
They say Sukesh was a young Indian pilot and they mourn his tragic passing.
One of the two pilots killed in the deadly plane crash near Steinbach has been publicly identified. On Tuesday, RCMP responded to a mid-air collision south of a runway at Harv's Air, a flight training school. The two pilots of both aircraft were pronounced dead on the scene. Now, in a post on X, the Consulate General of India in Toronto says Srihaри Sukesh was one of them. With profound sorrow, we mourn the tragic passing of Mr. Srihari Sukesh, a young Indian student pilot who lost his life in a mid-air collision near Steinbach, Manitoba. We extend our deepest condolences to his family. The post goes on to say the consulate has contacted the family, the school, and police to provide assistance. A Facebook page with the same name describes Sukesh as a private pilot, and there's this quote, "Once you have tasted flight, nothing else will stop you." On Tuesday following the crash, the owner of Harv's Air confirmed the two pilots were performing routine takeoffs and landings at the time. On Wednesday, the Transportation Safety Board said investigators are gathering information and assessing the accident. While on final approach to runway 36, the two aircraft collided in midair and then with the terrain, approximately a quarter of a mile from the threshold at around 8:43 local time. A post-impact fire ensued. Prior to this mid-air collision, the TSB says there have been 45 in Canada since 1990, including one in Manitoba.
The TSB says mid-air collisions between two aircraft are rare. They only make up 0.4% of accidents reported.
Now, Jeff, do we know how long the TSB investigation could take?
No, we don't. The TSB says investigators completed their work at the scene yesterday. They're now in what they call the field phase of the investigation. That could include things like doing interviews and removing pieces of the wreckage to do further examination.
All right, thanks for this, Jeff. A Northern First Nation is preemptively planning to evacuate some of its members as Manitoba's wildfire situation intensifies. CTV's John Hendricks joins us now live with the latest. Now, John, which community are we talking about, and is this a full evacuation?
Catherine, the Scituate Cree Nation announced late Tuesday that it has approved an evacuation order for Priority 1 members. Now, the community is located at Nelson House, some 80 kilometers west of Thompson. There's a fire burning roughly 20 kilometers to the north. According to NCN officials, Priority 1 includes people who frequently need hospital or nursing care, those undergoing dialysis, living with terminal illnesses, heart conditions, or chronic respiratory issues. Children with complex medical needs and those with high-risk pregnancies are also being urged to evacuate. NCN is reminding evacuees to bring a go bag with medications, ID, and proof of residency. Now, for those who are unsure, you can call the nursing station at the number that's on your screen to confirm your status.
Now, John, speaking of Thompson, the city declared a state of local emergency earlier this week, and there was talk of a potential evacuation. So what's the latest there?
It's a mixed bag, Catherine. The city said last night that bulldozer lines along the north and south sides of Provincial Road 280 are completed. Scheduled burns and vegetation clearing are also underway to protect high-value assets like hydro substations and fuel depots. But at the same time, the city's asking residents to complete a registration form in case an evacuation happens. You can find the form at thompson.ca, and city staff will be handing out physical copies for those without internet access.
All right, thanks for this, John. Meanwhile, HealthLinks has opened up a new line for those impacted by wildfires. The agency says you can call either of those numbers on your screen and press 1 for help finding your loved ones if they've been relocated from a hospital or personal care home. Evacuees can also speak with a nurse about health care concerns and learn about services offered in their area. And the province says the southern portion of Atakaki Provincial Park is closed as of 5 p.m. today. That includes the Blood Vein and Gammon River corridors and Aitken Lake. It says anyone in the area must leave. There are now 98 active wildfires in Manitoba, 15 more than yesterday and 30 more than a week ago. Meanwhile, Winnipeg police have arrested and charged 2 men who are accused of targeting evacuees for drug deals. Police received tips that drug dealers were doing business on the 1700 block of Wellington Avenue. Officers began an investigation and say they witnessed several drug transactions in the area. That led police to pull over a car Sunday night and arrest the 18-year-old driver. Investigators allegedly found more than $800 in cash and 3 grams of cocaine. The Winnipeg Police Service says it's dedicated officers to support and protect fire evacuees staying in the city.
We obviously take this very seriously. As I stated before, we want to make sure that everyone is safe, that they all feel welcome in the city. And as police, that's what our job is to support them, make sure that they are feel welcome while they're here and that they're all looked after.
Police also arrested a 21-year-old man who they say was a passenger in the car during the alleged drug transactions. The 2 are charged with drug trafficking and possessing the proceeds of crime. Several American lawmakers want Canada to do more in combating wildfires in this country. 6 congressional Republicans from Wisconsin and Minnesota say successive years of wildfires have undermined air quality in their states and robbed Americans of their ability to enjoy the summer. They pointed to forest management and arson as possible factors, but did not mention climate change. The lawmakers sent a letter to Canada's ambassador, urging her to relay their concerns to Natural Resources Canada and the Canadian Forest Service. A University of Manitoba researcher is raising concerns over the effect of wildfires on Lake Winnipeg. Phosphorus has always been a major contributor to the growth of algal blooms, but now new research shows more may be making its way into the water due to wildfire ash. CTV's Joseph Bernacki on what it means for the people who live nearby.
Dave Conefall and Corey Williams live on Lake Winnipeg. The permanent residents of Dunotter walk their dogs here every day, and they want future generations to be able to enjoy it as well.
Well, it makes me concerned for the tipping point for this lake. It's a massive, giant lake. It might be a different story next generation, a worse story.
So news of a new threat to the health of the lake is not welcome.
If now the wildfires could be considered a detriment as well, it's really sad. This lake needs some more friends and fewer enemies.
New research from the University of Manitoba finds the phosphorus fallout from climate change may be impacting Lake Winnipeg.
So we estimated that, okay, we should have different source of phosphorus, including, let's say, dust coming from agricultural land or pollens from trees around lake, and another component would be wildfire.
Dr. Gohoroki has been working with the Lake Winnipeg Research Consortium for the past year. The NMAO brings teams out on the lake 3 times a year. This spring, they studied the impact of wildfire ash on the lake as a busy wildfire season unfolded. Early findings indicate particulates from the ash contribute to phosphate levels which increase algal blooms. This filter was taken near Gimli before the wildfires, this one after. Williams said she and her husband won't swim in the lake anymore, and she worries about her dogs swimming there too.
Especially with the dogs, you can't really train them not to drink the water.
Joseph Bernacki, CTV News, Dunotter.
Daniel Homerson joins us now live with a first look at your Skywatch evening forecast. Quite the breezy day out there, Daniel. Are those winds expected to ease at all overnight?
Not at all, Catherine. Those winds are expected to remain for much of the evening. Now, right now we have plenty of happening on the satellite. Those purple spots, of course, are those air quality warnings we've talked about. The one in the southeast is actually eased up a little bit because of those south winds pushing the wildfire smoke north. But just over the last hour or so, we've been watching the severe thunderstorm move in from Saskatchewan. It was just over the border last hour. Now it has creeped into Manitoba around Flin Flon and the Paw. As you can see, it's still just a severe thunderstorm watch, but Environment Canada says this storm could produce up to golf ball size hail, wind gusting up to 90 kilometers per hour, and heavy rains. Now that region, the rains are definitely welcome, but the lightning strikes aren't. So we'll keep an eye out that throughout the hour and throughout the night. And taking a look outside right now in Winnipeg, 29 degrees over, relatively clear skies, feeling more like 34. The wind out of the south, you can see the camera shaking there, 37 kilometers per hour, gusting up to 53. The pressure's dropping, the humidity, Catherine, sitting at 49%.
The Bathfitter Live Eye is brought to you by Bathfitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years.
Thank you, Daniel. A warning tonight about a high-risk sex offender who's been released from prison and is considered a high risk to reoffend. 34-year-old Richard Kofi Asante was convicted of sexual assault in 2023. He served a sentence and was released from an Edmonton prison today. The Manitoba Integrated High-Risk Sex Offender Unit says it expects Asante to live in Winnipeg. They say he did not complete sexual offender treatment and is considered a high risk to reoffend against adult females. Authorities say any form of vigilantism will not be tolerated. The province will rework its plan to improve the intersection near Carberry. That's where a bus crash killed 17 people 2 years ago. More than 2,100 people signed a petition against the plan to turn the intersection into a restricted crossing U-turn known as an R-cut. An R-cut forces drivers to turn right, cut across traffic, and perform a U-turn. A provincial spokesperson says they heard clearly from the community it was not the right fit, so they'll go back to design and consultation work. The mayor of Carberry said residents would prefer an overpass. A man in his 80s has died after the SUV he was driving rolled over inside a Winnipeg parking garage. Police say it happened Tuesday night in the first 100 block of Paget Street. That's in Linden Woods. Investigators believe he suffered a medical event which led to the rollover. His passenger, a woman in her 80s, was brought to hospital with life-threatening injuries. A group that provides support for women and gender-diverse Winnipeggers is having to end some of its services due to a drop in funding.
We're forced into a position now without funding from the city or the province to wind down our critical outreach services.
In April, the West Central Women's Resource Centre learned it would have to seek funding from the city for its outreach programs instead of the province. But instead of receiving help for 3 teams like the city provided last year, only 1 team was selected to provide 24/7 services. WCWRC says it couldn't provide that, and so Main Street Project was ultimately awarded funding to provide outreach for the whole city.
I do understand the intent. I think what we need to recognize is that the needs in community are very high, and expecting 1 outreach team to provide service across a city the size of Winnipeg is an enormous task.
WCWRC worries those who require specialized services will get left behind. It's exploring other options, but says without government or other funding, it can't keep its van on the road and will be looking at other ways to support the community. The ongoing dispute over who is the rightful owner of a multi-million-dollar winning lottery ticket continues to play out. In court documents, Lawrence Campbell says not only was the Lotto ticket not a birthday gift for his former partner, Crystal McKay, but she had no history of expecting or receiving birthday gifts from him. Campbell also maintains the two were still in a relationship at the time, contradicting McKay's suggestion she had actually ended their relationship a month before the win. As we've reported previously, Campbell is suing McKay for the $5 million prize, saying the ticket was his, but he was told by the lottery company to allow McKay to claim the winnings, as he did not have valid ID or a bank account at the time. McKay claims he gave her the ticket as a birthday gift. None of the claims, meanwhile, have yet been tested in court. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers have named a 17th player to their Ring of Honor.
Tyrone Jones, the leading candidate for the Shenley Award, is Outstanding Defensive Player, and no doubt he'd get some votes from the CFL quarterbacks he's laid flat on their backs.
Tyrone Jones had a knack for quarterback sacks. In fact, he has the most sacks in Bombers history with 98. Jones played for the Bombers from '83 until 1991. He was a key player in the Bombers Grey Cup wins in '84 and 1990. Jones was diagnosed with inoperable brain cancer and died in 2008 at the age of 46. He's going to be honored at a ceremony at the Banjo Bowl against the Saskatchewan Roughriders on September 6th. The Ring of Honor celebrates Bombers players and people that helped build and support the team. Just ahead, why Trump's latest tariff threat could be a major blow to the Canadian economy.
I'm supporting the front lines of this trade war, which are the workers.
Just how much is our country's copper industry worth? Plus, why looking across the pond for military hardware may backfire. Stay with us. A new report out this morning shows Ottawa is set to miss its 2026 deadline to implement $10 a day childcare across the country. Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives says just 6 provinces and territories have met or improved upon the government's 2026 target. 5 provinces, including Ontario, Alberta, and BC, do not yet have plans to reduce fees. And looking at the markets, crude oil closed flat. The loonie fell to just over 73 cents U.S. Gold futures added 410. The TSX was up 68 points. The Dow Jones jumped 217 points, and the Nasdaq closed 192 points higher. Chip designer NVIDIA has taken the crown as the world's most valuable company. The tech giant is the first public company ever to top $4 trillion, yes, trillion dollars U.S. in value. Shares of NVIDIA rose 2.5% in early trading today, topping $164 each. Compare that to the beginning of 2023 when those same shares were listed at $14. NVIDIA achieved a U.S. $1 trillion market value for the first time a few months later and tripled it in about a year. That's faster than Apple and Microsoft, the only other U.S. firms with a market value of more than $3 trillion. More economic pain coming our way if Donald Trump goes through with his threat to ratchet up the trade war with a measure that could hurt Canadians. He's musing about a 50% tariff on imported copper. More than half of our exports go to the States. CTV's senior political correspondent Mike Couture has more from Ottawa.
U.S. President Donald Trump released another batch of tariff letters to more trading partners. They include Brunei and Libya, and the tariff rate ranges from 20 to 30%. Now, Canada isn't included in this batch, but the government continues to watch after Trump said he'd impose 50% tariffs on copper imports.
When it comes to the latest declaration from the president in the United States, we have not yet seen an executive order.
Industry Minister Melanie Joly says the government is watching closely to see if Canada is affected by any more trade action from the United States. It is worth noting a 50% tariff on Canadian copper would be significant. Of the $9.3 billion worth of exports in 2023, more than half went to the U.S. The next 2 biggest destinations for Canadian copper were China and Japan. Now, trade experts say instead of forcing countries to make deals, U.S. tariffs are creating new economic alliances that actually exclude the U.S. And that could be bad for the American economy. And Canadian lawmakers say the goal is to get a deal that works for workers in this country.
My job right now is to make sure that in the context of this trade war, I'm supporting the front lines of this trade war, which are the workers and the companies affected by the unjustifiable and unjustified tariffs.
And the clock is ticking. Canada's self-imposed deadline to hammer out an economic and security deal with the U.S. is July 21st. Mike Couture, CTV News, Ottawa.
Meantime, one Canadian chocolate maker says the Buy Canadian movement has turned into a boon for business. Purdy's, based in Vancouver, says there's now so much demand for its chocolate bars, it's decided to sell them outside its own stores for the first time in its 118-year-old history. It says website traffic jumped more than 200% in the wake of U.S. tariffs. The surge gave the company the confidence to forge a deal with Pattison Food Group to put 4 varieties of Purdy's chocolates on the shelves of some grocery stores. Canada's plan to rearm militarily with Europe is front and center in Prime Minister Mark Carney's foreign policy. But according to a new report, the move threatens to provoke the U.S. president. CTV's Judy Trin reports.
About 75% of the military equipment Canada uses comes from the United States. To reduce reliance, the Prime Minister signed a security pact with the European Union last month.
Our strategic Canada-EU or EU-Canada strategic partnership for the future will build a new and deeper relationship.
That new partnership with the EU could put Canada in the retaliatory crosshairs of the Americans, according to a new report written by former Canadian defense and security officials.
The U.S. might respond in a negative way and start canceling U.S. contracts to Canadian companies.
One pressing matter, the F-35s. Canada has paid for 16 American fighter jets. The government is evaluating if it should turn to the Swedish Gripen fighter instead for the rest of its order. But the U.S. ambassador has warned against doing that.
Canadians are flying one airplane. We're flying another airplane. It's no longer interchangeable. And so, that might even threaten NORAD.
The EU defense partnership also gives Canadian companies access to European markets. But the report's authors note some members can veto trade deals.
If you look at our free trade agreement that we have with Europe, a number of countries within Europe still have not ratified it.
The Europeans need critical minerals to build its defense capability. The report highlights regulatory barriers in provinces like BC, which could delay projects by years.
The authors stipulate that in the face of economic threats that could continue beyond the Trump administration, turning to European allies to help safeguard Canadian sovereignty isn't just a bold move, it's a necessary one. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
The armed forces now say all 4 men arrested and charged in an extremist plot have ties to the military. 2 of the men currently serve in the Army and are based at CFB Valcartier. 1 man is a former soldier and the 4th is a former civilian instructor with the Royal Canadian Air Cadets. Police raided the men's homes yesterday morning. They were charged in court and remain in custody with their next appearance on July 14th. The RCMP alleges they were motivated by an extremist, anti-authority, anti-government ideology to set up an independent land. Police also allege weapons seized last year had been taken from the military. To Texas now, where more than 110 people are now confirmed dead from catastrophic flooding. And even more missing. With search crews entering a 6th day trying to find survivors, questions linger over whether more could have been done to save lives.
We've searched 26 river miles since the tragic event has started. We've had approximately 444 rescues, 30 recoveries. Some of our resources and assets we have dedicated to this tragic event include 2 helicopters with hoist teams, 12 drone teams, 10 K9 units.
Officials say the number of people missing has soared to more than 160, over 3 times higher than previously stated. The huge jump coming after a hotline was set up for families to call in. Crews are using boats, helicopters, and horses as part of the search. U.S. President Donald Trump says he will visit the disaster zone on Friday. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spent a 2nd day in Washington today. He met with Donald Trump working on a ceasefire proposal for Gaza. Netanyahu says the focus was on trying to free Israeli hostages. Israel and Hamas are considering a new U.S.-backed proposal that would include a pause in the fighting to free Israeli hostages and send humanitarian aid into Gaza. Meanwhile, there were more airstrikes in Gaza overnight. At least 40 people were killed. Mattel is expanding its representation with the launch of a Barbie doll that has type 1 diabetes. The doll's accessories include insulin patches, a glucose monitor, and an insulin pump as a means to increase awareness of the condition and to help young people with diabetes feel more confident. To ensure an accurate representation of the community, Barbie partnered with type 1 diabetes charities to design the medical equipment. Still ahead, saying goodbye to an industry giant, how agriculture equipment pioneer Bob Maser is being remembered.
Back to seasonal temperatures to start the weekend, but heating up when we move into Sunday. I'll have your full forecast coming up after the break.
Have a news tip? When you see news happening, let CTV News Winnipeg know. Text your tips, pictures, and videos to 10400. That's 10400. Message and data rates may apply.
A giant in the world of agriculture equipment and a hometown success story has died. Maer Group says its president and CEO, Bob Maser, has died. The company says Maser joined his father's ag equipment dealership in Brandon in 1969. He went on to form Maer Group, which expanded to 18 locations across Manitoba and Saskatchewan. Maser was inducted into the Farm Equipment Dealership Hall of Fame just this year and had been named Brandon's Business Person of the Year in 1998. Maer Group says he passed away Sunday after a battle with cancer. And Premier Wab Kinew paid tribute on social media, offering his condolences and writing in part, quote, "Bob was a great Manitoban who helped to make Westman and our province a better place. He will be missed."
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
CTV's Daniel Halmerson joins us now with your complete Skywatch weather forecast. A breezy day to be sure, Daniel. So how's the evening shaping up?
Well, down here in southern Manitoba, it's a pretty uneventful evening. Those winds will continue and it's going to stay warm throughout the evening. But we have been watching some activity up in the Flin Flon and Paw area. A severe thunderstorm tracking from Saskatchewan. Now, over the last hour, we've watched it go from a watch to a warning in Saskatchewan. Still just a watch here in Manitoba, but a risk of heavy winds, heavy rain, and some hail as well. Keep an eye on that as the rest of the evening goes by. Still some air quality warnings and statements in effect for parts of Manitoba, including Thompson and in the southeast around Nopaming Provincial Park. Tonight, as I mentioned, some chance of some storms up near Flin Flon, the Paw, and other parts of northern Manitoba. Relatively calm here in the south, especially for folks taking in that big Rock and Thunder concert at the stadium. As we move through the night, some storms could develop now in the northeast and in southeastern parts of the province. Clearing a bit over into the morning, especially here in the south. Now, we could see some thunderstorms develop throughout most of southern Manitoba tomorrow late afternoon into the evening. And a little bit more overnight. You can see some activity just east of Winnipeg there in the south, while the north actually becomes a lot more clear heading into Friday. Chance of some more showers then. Tonight here in Winnipeg, hazy skies, low of 20 overnight. That wind remaining pretty heavy, south 30 kilometers per hour. Tomorrow morning, 22 by 8 a.m., mainly sunny skies. The wind shifting a little out of the southwest. And tomorrow afternoon, high of 32 here in Winnipeg, but that risk of thunderstorms late afternoon, as I mentioned. Around the province, up north in Churchill, Gillam Lake, and Island Lakes, chance of some thunderstorms tonight, as well as out in Thompson. But tomorrow, highs of 25, 26 under cloudy skies. In the northwest, as I mentioned, some thunderstorms developing there tonight, giving way to cloudy skies tomorrow, highs in the mid-20s. To our west, out in Brandon and the Westman area, 17 tonight under mainly clear skies, partially cloudy tomorrow, highs between 28 and 29. Here in Winnipeg and the rest of the capital region, relatively clear tonight, but highs of 32 over basically everywhere with hazy skies. Now that risk of thunderstorms does exist basically wherever you're looking on the map there for late tomorrow afternoon. And just over the border in Ontario, 17 tonight in Kenora and Dryden, chance of risk of thunderstorms rather, highs of 29, but plenty of sunshine tomorrow. Our first weather pick of the night comes from Ryan. That's out in Durban. That's just around Duck Mountain Provincial Park. Beautiful sunset there. And our second is from Alan here in Winnipeg of a bald eagle. He says he thinks just got out of the water and is drying off their wings. You can send your photos to winnipegweather@ctv.ca.
For the very first time, a robot performs surgery without any human help.
This was such a crazy accomplishment.
We'll have more on the new study and what it means for the medical field just ahead.
Get Winnipeg's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
A speaker series led by a University of Manitoba professor is making space for Black men and boys to have open conversations on topics ranging from mental health to microaggressions to sexuality. Called the Barbershop Talk series, Black Men and Misconceptions, the latest edition will delve into a persistent negative stereotype projected onto Black communities across North America. Joining me now to share more about this event, we have Warren Clark, a professor in the anthropology department at the University of Manitoba, and Daniel Hidalgo, the founder and director of Community 204 and a speaker at the upcoming event. Gentlemen, hello. Thanks so much for being with us.
Well, thank you. Many thanks. Thank you for having us.
So, Warren, I'd love to start with you and how this talk series all came about. Tell me about its origins.
Yeah, thank you very much. Many thanks. This was a beautiful accident that started in 2018 in Ottawa. I've been very humbled, very appreciative just to be a part of these conversations then. But this started in a barbershop, as I mentioned, in Ottawa, and it was a conversation that took place among young Black men about sexual health, particularly about courting women. And then it turned into a full-fledged barbershop talk, unscripted, raw, discussing the nuances but vulnerabilities of these young Black men. And it was an amazing idea to work with the community there and start the start off of the Barbershop Talk series in 2018. And we've been very humbled to be doing this across Canada and also the Caribbean.
And Warren, why the barbershop? Why is this the right setting for these conversations that can be candid, vulnerable? Why the barbershop?
Yeah, great question. One of the things that's true about the barbershop, it's a safe space for Black men and boys. There's a lot of vulnerabilities. There's a lot of conversations happening within the barbershops without the Barbershop Talk series. And usually those conversations are between barbers and their clients, right? Where barbers act as mentors or even that big brother type person for a lot of these young men.
And the latest talk coming up on July 13th is on the subject of dismantling harmful myths about the absent Black father. Warren, why did you feel like this was the right topic?
Before I answer that question, I'm going to give flowers to Dan. He's leaving me hanging right now. We meet young Black fathers like Daniel, and other many folks in the community. Shout out to Ogo, Zuike, Ade, who are fathers here in Winnipeg. One of the things that continue to be a stereotypical normalization about Black men and fatherhood is that Black men are not there for their kids. I have 3 children of my own, and one of the things that even myself experience is that with my son is that he doesn't have a father, right? And that is definitely not true. And many young Black men, boys or men are going through that. And this is an opportunity, working with Community 204, for example, and Daniel and his people, to really, engage in a conversation here in Winnipeg, which starts to, again, humanize people who are Black African descent.
Well, Daniel, sorry to ignore you for this amount of time, but yes, you're involved in the event, and as mentioned, you come with just an incredible resume and point of view. You founded Community 204. Tell me all about what Community 204 does.
Yes, so, as I've said in the past, Community 204 is a community engagement platform, but one thing that folks don't realize is that the people who do the frontline work and who engage in that hard work are often folks that come from negative cycles that are looking to overcome that and come from, the perception of a lot of negative stereotypes. So our existence is based on overcoming negative and harmful, dehumanizing narratives.
Can you give us a little preview on what you're going to be touching on at the event?
Yeah, I'm going to touch on the fact that I myself am an example of the opposite of these stereotypes. I myself am a very present Black father, 2 Black children. I have 3 kids of my own, and they're my everything. And it's important that folks who listen and partake get to see firsthand a father that loves somebody more than themselves and that lives that life, and that, a lot of the relationships that I have with my children is proof that they are a huge, if not the biggest part of my identity. And it extends beyond a lot of the dehumanizing narratives that simply aren't true when it comes to Black men and being active fathers, regardless of what the dynamic looks like.
It's just really a wonderful event. So for anyone listening out there, who is this open to? How can folks attend?
Yeah, thanks for the question. It's open to everyone. One of the things that we really want to, encourage is educating, engaging with all of the Winnipeg community. So you can be of a different ethnicity, different race, different gender, sexuality. This is the moment to learn, not only reflect. We welcome folks. Please come down. It's going to be at Swish Barbershop on St. Mary's on Sunday, July 13th, starting at 5 p.m.
Well, it sounds like a wonderful event. We will leave it there. Thank you so much to you both for joining us today.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
At least 3 out of the 4 Atlantic provinces have released data revealing their measles vaccination rates in children are too low to stop the spread of the disease. Nova Scotia says about 23% of children were not fully vaccinated for measles in 2024. In PEI and New Brunswick, about 10% of children were not fully vaccinated. Newfoundland and Labrador did not respond to requests for information on vaccination rates for measles. Experts say communities need to vaccinate at least 95% of their population to reach a level of herd immunity, which stops the disease from spreading. A big development at the intersection of healthcare, robots, and AI. And a warning, the images in this story may be hard to watch if you're a bit squeamish. For the very first time, a robot successfully performed surgery without any human help. The surgery was on a dead pig. We're still a long ways away from robots in the ER. CTV's Abigail Biman explains why researchers are calling this a major accomplishment.
We successfully completed all 8 ex vivo studies without any human intervention.
You're watching a robot perform realistic surgery without human help for the very first time.
I lost my mind. I think this was such a crazy accomplishment.
Lead study author Ji Woong Brian Kim couldn't believe it, watching the robot, called SRTH, successfully perform a gallbladder surgery on a dead pig. Built and trained with the same architecture that powers ChatGPT, SRTH watched videos of surgeons at work.
It's a model that's actually learned and actually kind of understands the surgery rather than, being just pre-programmed.
While no human intervention was needed, there is a human who can override the robot if necessary.
Our goal is not to replace surgeons. We want to just make the surgery easier so that surgeons can perform more surgeries, fewer complications.
As long as the robot has the data, researchers say it should be able to perform any kind of surgery. They're already working on next steps. To get ready to operate on a live pig, this is a simulation with food coloring to imitate blood.
First thing that strikes me as an ethicist is consent.
Bioethicist Carrie Bowman says we need more data and research as AI in healthcare moves forward.
What's this going to look like for a country like Canada? Is this going to bring down wait times? Is this going to raise efficiency? It may. I'd like to keep an open mind about this.
As for when robots could perform surgeries on humans, researchers say that's still a number of years away. But experts warn AI is moving fast, and we need to be ready by answering all the difficult questions around its use. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manukin Koster Denture Clinic.
We got here about 1:30 a.m.
The 50th annual Winnipeg Folk Festival is almost underway, and folkies are already lining up. We'll take you there up next in Spotlight.
Spotlight, sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting Night Ranger.
The 50th Winnipeg Folk Festival kicks off in Birds Hill Park tomorrow, but first, the rush is on to get the best campsite.
We got here about 1:30 a.m.
Well, Folk Festers started lining up overnight for a prime spot, and people rushed in once gates opened this morning. 76,000 people are expected to attend the festival this year, its 50th anniversary. Folk Fest started in 1974 and was billed as a free Bruce Cockburn concert. He's back this year, along with over 75 artists from around the world, playing on 9 stages over the 4 days.
We also have some special things. We have a photo display that kind of puts on our history. We have some videos where folks are telling their favorite memories from Folk Festival. And generally, we're just being together, which is what Folk Festers like to do.
Folk Fest starts tomorrow evening with Fred Penner and wraps up Sunday with Lake Street Dive. Tickets and a limited number of camping passes are available through the Folk Fest website. Now, Canadian movie star Ryan Reynolds is throwing his support behind a cause close to the hearts of Winnipeggers.
The Bruce Oak Recovery Center has been saving men's lives for 4 years, and soon enough, the Ann Oak Family Recovery Center will do the same thing for women who can have their children with them as they find their way back to health. I'm really proud to know Scott Oak. I think he's an incredible example of Canadian grit and determination in moving through grief in a way that has a positive outcome for other people.
How cool is that? The Ann Oak Family Recovery Center, referenced by Reynolds, is planned for a site on Snow Street at Dartmouth Drive, just behind the Victoria General Hospital. Now, very minor Jeopardy spoilers incoming if you set your PVR for the show. So let's see if you're able to get this question from last night.
In Canada, his or her worship is for people with this government job, like Scott Gillingham of Winnipeg and Surrey, BC's Brenda Locke. Scott.
Now, if you said, "What is mayor?" you're correct. And it means you would have also done better than the 3 contestants. None of them got this question right. They had to guess what Mayor Gillingham's job was based on the honorific, his worship. But that didn't bother Gillingham. He tweeted on social media that it was a fun surprise to be featured in a Clue on Jeopardy. And a new Netflix movie, K-pop Demon Hunters, is turning into a phenomenon.
The world will know you as pop stars. But you will be much more than that.
As the name suggests, the film is about a K-pop girl group that slays demons on the side. It has now topped Netflix's global movies list, and the soundtrack album is surging up the Billboard 200. 7 different songs from the movie are on this week's Hot 100. And you can beat those midweek blues with MasterChef at 7, followed by Gordon Ramsay's Secret Service, and Battle of the Generations wraps up the night at 9. It's all right here on CTV.
Now pops a cub we didn't even know was in tow. So what a story.
What a story indeed. Why a unique polar bear in northern Manitoba is giving wildlife experts hope.
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by S&T Spa Salon.
29 degrees out there at Blue Cross Park, a hot night for baseball players. Wind out of the south, 37 gusting up to 53. You can see that camera shaking pretty steady there. And that 29-degree high was, we've been hovering around that for the last few hours, narrowly beating out last year's 28.7, but still short of that record set back in 1921. Taking a look at our long-range forecast, hazy tonight, risk of thunderstorms tomorrow, and as we move through the weekend, picking up to 29 on Sunday before tapering off to start the next work week.
Thank you, Daniel. An unusual polar bear in the Churchill area has returned with a surprise this summer.
She came around the point, and then out pops a cub we didn't even know was in tow.
That might not seem exceptional, but area residents didn't expect this bear to survive long after it was first spotted back in 2021. That's because Tripod is missing part of her hind leg. Every July, polar bears come off the ice of Hudson Bay. They can't get back out until December to hunt seals, but mother polar bears often travel around 100 kilometers inland to make a den, and they go much longer without food.
It just seems nearly impossible that any bear could do it, never mind one that's, missing a pretty key feature in life.
Local tourism operator Adam Paul says Tripod is doing well and proving she's an efficient hunter. She and her cub are expected to remain in the Hudson Bay coast area until the ice comes in. Never count out a mom, I tell you.
No, what a remarkable story.
No kidding. I mean, I could see that folks would flock to Churchill just to see Tripod and her cub. Maybe this is a new mascot for Churchill. You never know. Yes. All right, that's going to do it for us. Remember, you can watch CTV News anytime on our website. And be sure to join CTV's John Hendricks for CTV News at 11:30. Good night and take care.